with 22. He's leading the majors with 63 RBIs, and he's batting .331. He easily can be the first 40-40 guy since 2006 when Alfonso Soriano did it. And there's only been 5 guys since 1988. So definitely with what Kemp's been doing all year, he is definitely a leading candidate to become an all-star there. Probably the comeback player of the year, I'm going to put in center Lance Berkman, formerly of the Astros. Now he's on the St. Louis Cardinals. He's currently 4th in the majors, 2nd in the NL with 20 homers. He's basically saving the Cardinals while Albert Pujols is out. And then for my third outfield position, out in left field, Ryan Braun, the Milwaukee Brewers. He's currently 5th in the NL with 16 home runs. He has 19 stolen bases, so he actually also may have a shot at 40-40 if he gets hot. He's also batting .321 and 4th in the majors with 96 hits. So there you go. There's my all-star ballot for you guys. Hopefully we'll see a lot of these guys here in the all-star game if they're not starting. That will actually be on Sunday, July 3rd, like I said, will be the starters. And then shortly after that, the coaching staff will then pick the pitchers for each of the leagues. All right, what I want to go to now is our fantasy baseball roundup. What we're going to do is basically I'm going to take a look at the past 2 weeks, look at some of the guys that have been performing very well, some guys you may want to pick up. Some of the best performers here over the past 2 weeks. Pitching-wise, you would think it'd be Lee and Cliff Lee of the Phillies and Jason Verlander of the Tigers. Well, you'd be right about Verlander, but actually over the past 2 weeks, Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers, James Shields of the Rays, and Matt Cain of the Dodgers are ahead of Lee in the fantasy baseball rankings over the past 14 days. That's due to mainly to strikeouts also because they're all well ahead of Cliff Lee in that 14-day period. Some great relievers over the past 2 weeks. Craig Kimbrell having a hell of a season for the Atlanta Braves in his first full year as a closer. He's definitely on pace to hit 50 saves this year. Mariano Rivera and Santos from the Chicago White Sox, all with 5 saves in the past 2 weeks. Batting, of course, Jose Reyes. Everybody knows that he's been having a huge couple of weeks here. He had a streak where he had 9 hits in his past 11 at bats. Currently, over that 14-day span, he's batting .370. Aramis Ramirez, A-Ram for the Cubs. He's having a hot 2 weeks. 5 home runs on the period with 10 RBIs. This kind of helped vault into my all-star ballot here, the performance he's been having. Nick Swisher, another guy. He might actually be available in your free agent pool if you take a look. I just picked him up a couple weeks ago. He's actually available in a couple of my leagues. Unfortunately, there's not guys I want to drop for him, but over the past couple weeks, there's not really been anybody better. He's had 4 home runs and 15 RBIs in that span. And then we'll go to some pickups here for your fantasy baseball league. Some guys that'll been producing pretty well might be out there to help you kind of get over that hump. Currently, like I said, Nick Swisher might be out there for you. Ty Wigginton of the Colorado Rockies, he's currently 7 home runs and 12 RBIs in the past 2 weeks. Carlos Pena for the Chicago Cubs, he's got 7 home runs and 13 RBIs in the past 2 weeks. Batting average is a little low. It's only been batting .224, but the summer months is when he really starts to heat up, and if that wind starts blowing out at Wrigley, he's going to be hitting bombs left and right. Guy having a hell of a comeback year for the New York Mets, Jason Bay. Last couple weeks he's batted .318 with 2 homers, 9 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases. It's taken him a while to get going in New York. This little streak that he's currently been on may actually kind of propel him, back into the status of what he once was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Okay, right now what we're going to do is go to what I want to call the Gaming Tailgaters mailbag from the www.thegamingtailgate.com. Some users on there kind of posting some topics they want to talk about, want to hear on the podcast. Nature Boy, Ric Flair himself, posted he want to hear a little bit of WWE talk on here. So I said, okay, we'll go ahead and throw a little WWE in. I just want to make a quick mention. If you are a fan and have not watched in the past few months, you might have missed something very, very, very interesting. CM Punk did a shoot promo at the end. A lot of talk that he's going to be leaving the company. Publicly, they're doing an angle that he's going to leave after the pay-per-view on July 17th. Basically, it's kind of confusing to see whether or not he's actually going to leave or if he's just going to leave for a few months or whatnot, but the promo that he cut on last Monday Night's Raw was completely phenomenal. A lot of people are comparing it to the Stone Cold moment when Stone Cold Steve Austin was basically born in 1996 at the King of the Ring. It's just an epic promo. If you check the pro wrestling thread in the other section of the Gaming Tailgate, I posted the video of that segment. It's truly one of the best promos ever done. Mexico T says he wants me to talk about Jose Reyes and why hasn't he performed like this before? Well, I think the reason that Jose Reyes hasn't really performed to this level before, a lot of it has to do with injuries. He's been definitely injury prone over the years. And of course, the two biggest words that help performance is contract year, because you perform, you're going to get paid. It's like the Beltre effect. Adrian Beltre always produced gigantic numbers the year before contract, and then of course you disappear for a couple of years. Now he's actually having a good year for Texas, so that Beltre effect may have to rename that to something. Maybe the Jose Reyes effect if he kind of falls off after getting paid in this upcoming off season. But I think he's finally fully healthy. The Mets as a whole are playing as a better team in 2011. So I think a lot of that, Jason Bay, like I said, coming around. Beltran's kind of coming around himself too. Young pitchers like Nisi and G have been carrying the staff with Johan Santana out, and then K-Rod, of course, closing games left and right this year. So I think that's I think all that good play kind of is feeding Reyes to have this great season. Smooth Pancakes from the Gaming Tailgate says he wants me to comment on the Dodgers situation. And unfortunately, as you probably know, the McCourts, owners of the Dodgers, getting a divorce, causing all sorts of chaos within the organization. Frank McCourt just recently filed for bankruptcy as he was not able to make the recent payroll. The effect is clear on the Dodgers. They're 36-46. They shouldn't be like that. When you got guys like Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, Chad Billingsley, Clayton Kershaw, you should be near the top of that NL West division. In regards to the future, I think I've heard that maybe a group led by Steve Garvey may be taking it over. If that's the case, then, I think it might be in some good hands, but it's going to be a rocky road. I mean, the Dodgers went through the same ordeal right before the McCourts took over. And, basically what happened is they decided not to spend any money. And it went that way for years, and they were at the bottom of the division. And then, then they decided to finally spend some money when they got Manny Ramirez, and they kind of started shooting back. So it may be about 2 or 3 years before anything is really done to the team majorly. And with the trade deadline, the Dodgers are 10 games out right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade Andre Ethier, maybe even Chad Billingsley, to try to get to stockpile some talent in the minor leagues. It's really hard to tell what's going to really happen. PSU Snoop wants me to talk about two pitchers that completely lit up June. Jason Verlander of the Detroit Tigers, Cliff Lee of the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's just run by these numbers real quick because they're just amazing. They're two sets of numbers that you just don't see. Jason Verlander, 6 wins, 54 Ks in 49 innings, a .92 ERA, a .71 WHIP. That's all in the month of June. You'd think, okay, that's just a phenomenal month. Well, then you look at Cliff Lee, 5 wins. He only had a .21 ERA. He only gave up 1 run in the entire month of June. The biggest stat of all of this is, like I said, Verlander had 6 wins, Cliff Lee with 5. The biggest stat out of all of this is the fact that both pitchers had more wins than the Marlins in the month of June, and that's just very sad. I would personally love to thank you for tuning in to the wonderful Black Hole of Sports podcast. This is the pilot episode, a test run. You can follow me on Twitter at JBHuskers. You can like the Facebook page, which just search for the wonderful Black Hole of Sports, and you'll be able to find it. Any feedback, any suggestions are definitely welcome, especially on topics you want to hear. But this is it for the very first edition of the wonderful Black Hole of Sports. Once again, I'm Jeremy. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Space, the final frontier.
These are the voyages of the Starship